In America's oldest city, St. Augustine, Florida, there stands a black and white striped lighthouse capped with a top as red as blood. It has stood guard here for over 500 years, witnessing wars, pirates, plagues, and countless human tragedies. This is the St. Augustine Lighthouse, a place where the remnants of the past have accumulated into an unseen energy preserving immortal souls. It is said that ghosts still patrol the spiral staircase, the laughter of children rings out in the night, and the faint smell of cigar smoke wafts through the salty ocean air, even though this is a strict no-smoking property. Today we are opening the case file on one of the most heavily haunted lighthouses in the world. Please hit like and subscribe because we are about to climb 219 steps to meet the lighthouse keepers whose shifts never end. The history of the St. Augustine Lighthouse is as old and complex as the city itself. Before the striped tower we see today was built, a wooden watchtower stood here since 1589, mainly to watch for enemy ships and pirates. Over the centuries, it was used by the Spanish, then the English, and then the Americans, who rebuilt it and witnessed countless tragic shipwrecks off the coast. In 1859, while the old lighthouse was still in operation, a keeper named Joseph Andreu was tasked with repainting the tower. He was working on scaffolding 60 feet up when tragedy struck. The scaffolding broke. Joseph fell freely, striking the roof below before hitting the ground. His passing was almost instantaneous. It is said his pain and sudden shock are imprinted on this location. And his family's tragedy had only just begun. A few years later, in 1871, the government realized the old lighthouse was being reclaimed by the sea and was about to collapse. They decided to build a new, taller, stronger tower about 500 yards inland. The man sent to supervise this massive project was Hezekiah Pitti. He moved his entire family, including his wife and 4 children, to live right on the construction site. The Pitti children, like any children, turned the construction site into their playground. They especially loved a small rail cart used to haul building materials from the pier to the base of the tower. They would often climb in, let it roll down the slope to the sea, imagining they were pirates. On a fateful day, July 10th, 1873, the worst possible tragedy occurred. Pitti's daughters, 15-year-old Mary and 13-year-old Eliza, along with an unnamed African-American girl, the daughter of a worker, were playing on the cart. They didn't realize that the wooden block at the end of the rail meant to stop the cart had been removed by someone. The cart flew down the track at a horrifying speed with nothing to stop it. It flipped into the sea, the heavy cart trapping the 3 children underneath. A young worker named Dan Sessions saw it happen and dove in to help, but it was too late. He was only able to save Pitti's youngest daughter, Carrie, who was not on the cart. The other 3 children had drowned. This tragedy shook the town. The construction site was shut down for the funerals. The heartbroken Pitti family took their 2 daughters' bodies back to Maine for burial. But the fate of the young African-American girl remains a mystery. There are no records of her final resting place. A new lighthouse was built on the foundation of 2 horrifying tragedies, a man falling from a great height and 3 children drowning at its feet. And as soon as the new lighthouse was lit in 1874, the spirits began to make themselves known. Today, the St. Augustine Lighthouse is a maritime museum. But for the staff, tour guides, and ghost hunters, it is a spiritual hotspot. The most tragic spirits here are perhaps those of the children. The sound of little girls giggling is frequently heard in and around the lighthouse, especially at night. The guides for the Dark of the Moon tour are all too familiar with it. One employee recounted that while locking up the tower alone one night, he heard distinct giggling from the very top. Thinking a guest was trapped, he climbed all 219 steps to the top only to find it empty. As he started to walk back down, the giggling echoed again, this time from below him, as if they were playing hide and seek. A female guest on a night tour was stepping onto the first stair when she suddenly stopped. She couldn't lift her foot. When she looked down, she was horrified to find her shoelace had been tied tightly to the staircase railing. Dirty children's footprints also sometimes appear on the freshly cleaned floors the next morning, even when no children had been on the previous night's tour. Many visitors have captured photos of a young girl in a Victorian dress or caught a glimpse of a 4-foot-tall figure peeking at them from around corners. But perhaps the most unsettling experience was when a visitor was touring the keeper's house. He was alone when he suddenly felt a little girl standing next to him. He turned and saw her staring at him with a blank expression, before vanishing. But not all the spirits here are so playful. There is an entity the staff refers to simply as the man. This is a tall, shadowy figure often seen in the basement of the keeper's house or on the lighthouse's spiral staircase. His appearance is always accompanied by 2 signs: a feeling of overwhelming fear and anxiety, and the strong, thick smell of cigar smoke. This cigar smell is one of the most reported phenomena. It appears suddenly, is strong enough to be choking, and then vanishes instantly despite the entire property being a no-smoking zone. Many believe the man is the ghost of Joseph Andreu, the keeper who fell to his death in 1859. He seems to still be on duty patrolling the lighthouse. Others believe it's William Russell, another keeper from the 1850s who was known to be protective and territorial. Or a more chilling theory points to Peter Rasmussen, a later keeper who is said to have taken his own life in the basement of the house. Whoever he is, he doesn't seem to like visitors. The famous Ghost Hunters team came here and captured some of their most incredible evidence. While filming on the staircase, they recorded an image of a tall, dark shadow clearly looking down at them from the railing above before turning and walking away. One employee even recounted a terrifying experience of being chased by the man. He claims the spirit harassed him all night, chasing him up and down the 219 steps of the lighthouse. He quit his job immediately after. And finally, we come to the tragic spirit of Maria Mestre de los Dolores. Maria was the wife of Joseph Andreu, the man who fell to his death in 1859. After her husband's passing, Maria, in her grief, took over his duties. She became the first Hispanic-American female commander of a federal installation and one of the first heroines of the U.S. Coast Guard. But she never got over the loss of her husband. It is said she would often stand on the catwalk looking down at the exact spot where Joseph had fallen, as if reliving that horrific moment. Today, many visitors and staff report seeing a female ghost in a long white dress with black hair standing on the observation deck. She is often seen leaning over the railing, looking down at the ground below. There have been many frantic calls to the police reporting a woman in distress on the railing, looking as if she were about to fall. But when police arrive, no one is there. Other visitors, while walking in the garden, have met a woman in period clothing who speaks kindly to them about the lighthouse's history. Only after the conversation ends and the woman fades away do they realize they had just spoken to a ghost. That is Maria. The St. Augustine Lighthouse is a beautifully tragic place. It doesn't just have one story. It's like an apartment building where every floor, every room has a spirit with its own tragedy. In the basement, you have a grumpy keeper and his cigar smoke. On the stairs, you have the giggles and pranks of the pity girls. And at the very top, you have Maria, the great woman forever bound by her love and her loss. The St. Augustine Lighthouse is still in operation today. It still shines its light out to sea, a beacon for ships. But at the same time, it is also a beacon for the spiritual world, an undeniable landmark drawing its lost souls back home. Thank you for listening. What do you think of the spirits of St. Augustine? And if you had the chance, would you dare to take a Dark of the Moon tour and play hide and seek with the Pity Girls? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I will see you in the next case file.